One place to go to if you have it. Your fish may itch or even flash. So Father Fish is your one-stop gap. One place to go to if you have capital with an inch of sand. Capital with an inch of sand. Raise the temperature with a helping hand. And add some garlic on top of that sand. The it will go, your plants will grow, and all of your fish will have a happy home. Father Fish, so Father Fish, your one-stop wonder if you keep fish. Starring Sir Father Fish and all his followers on the Father Fish channel. Over to you, Sir Father Fish.
Well, here we are. And I did that almost flawlessly, but not quite. I still managed to screw it up. Oh well. We wouldn't know what to do if it was perfect, would we? Hello, hello. How is everyone today? Let's see if we can get up and see who's here. Now what I have to do is go back in and reset up YouTube, because if I don't knock it off during the music, we get feedback. Oh well. Up YouTube, because if I don't knock it off music like that. I don't know. Who's here? Joshua Miller. Hello, Joshua Miller. Mermaid's Chorus, Suki Smith, Psychedelic Hippocampus, who is staying home today because it's cold and wet. I heard a funny joke last night. Guy said millennials are the only generation that call in sick when their feelings get hurt. I thought that was actually, I've experienced that more than once. It's actually true. I don't think it's generational. Well, I don't think it's millennial specifically. I think it's just adolescence, post-adolescence, if you like. It's kind of adolescent behavior, I don't feel good. I got my feelings hurt. We go through it. I'm 80 years old, and I still don't feel good when my feelings get hurt. You try to overwhelm it. You try to push it back. You try to not let it influence you, but it does. You feel it. You experience it. You know it. I've got 2 or 3 things going on right now that have got me discombobulated, a little upset with myself. I internalize that. I rarely externalize it. If I'm upset about something, I usually try to figure out what I did wrong, why it's my fault, and try to work it out internally. At least I can handle it that way. If it's somebody else, all I can do is get mad at them or have some other reaction to somebody else. But if I internalize it, then somehow I have the theory that I can deal with it, whatever. The solution to all of this, of course, is to stare at your fish tank, because it takes it all away. It washes it all away. It is the ultimate form of inspiration, meditation, relief, release. Just stare at your fish tank for 5 or 10 minutes. David Fellows. Hello, David. Patrick Paulson, I don't know if he's here. His birthday is today. If you're here, Patrick. He was over in Discord a little while ago. He's probably still over there rambling about Derek Thompson, James Green, Chris Stratpole, C1 Wanderer, Joshua Miller, Mermaids Chorus, Markio 306, Glassbox Fox, there he is, Patrick Paulson. Happy birthday, Patrick. Gene Campbell, hello, Gene. Hannah Robinson, Suki Smith, hello, Suki. Nice to see you. Chris Trapp, excuse me for repeating myself. I have short-term memory loss. Down to the bottom. Who we got here? Derek, I said, Marky. Chevy Fish. Hi, Chevy. Good morning to you. Said George Crabtree. Hello, George Crabtree. I haven't seen you in a while. Nice to have you with us, Color Guppies. Emily Stevens. Hello, Emily. 3G. Hi, 3G. And on it goes. See how many we got in here. 34 watching and 21 thumbs up. So we're a little short on the thumbs up. We need to get the classroom bell. Come on in, class. Come on in, students. Come in the door. Sign in at the door. Make sure you click the thumbs at the door and come on in. Take a seat and have your questions ready. We're going to be dealing with everything and everybody today. So welcome and join us. And let's all have fun together talking about fish. Yeah. What else? Who else? One Wanderer. Hello, hello. So, Patrick Paulson's birthday. I feel somewhere on the edge of my consciousness is a little niggling notion. It's more like a pinprick that's goading me to say something more about Patrick Paulson having a birthday. Patrick, is our resident guru. And gurus aren't supposed to have birthdays, are they? I don't know. It just seems, isn't there a timelessness? Here we go. A timelessness about being spiritually enlightened, an elevation of all sense of time and space to an om, to a place of complete serenity where there is no time and there is no space. There is only the now, the here and now. Hey, Patrick. Hey. So what's this about a birthday? How can you do birthdays and ohms? Aren't they kind of mutually, I don't know, explain yourself. I'm teasing, of course. I'm teasing. Oh, who else? We stopped. Did you know yo-yo loaches will gang up on another fish? Here's psychedelic hippocampus. They did that to my new betta. They don't bother the guppies or mollies, though. Well, bettas are funny critters. We should look at her bettas here. Let's see if we can not tear up everything on my desk and get a sense of what the boys and girls are doing this morning. Not much. Not much. There's a little girl. I did put a little food in earlier, and I think it kind of slowed them down. Here comes the male. Oh, there's two girls. The girls chase each other endlessly. But, I'll tell you, I do not see much more than one nipped fin. I mean, there isn't much at all. No real damage. If you watch the new video on a colony of bettas, someone nailed it and said that these bettas had to have grown up together, been grown up together by a local breeder, and that is absolutely true. They grew up together, were grown up together in the same container by a local breeder who raises them in vats, raises hundreds, thousands perhaps of bettas in vats, and then selects them out to sell them. So they don't come out of those vats until they're ready to be bagged and shipped. It's a rather unique way of doing bettas, but what I've noticed is there are no nipped fins. I don't get nipped fins. Now, I'm also not getting the kind of bettas I really like, which are the fancy tails, the crown tails, the half moons, the rose, all of the really fancy fin bettas. That ain't these. These are shorter fins, but they are crossed now with the half moon, and they've got some pretty good finish. And I was disappointed when I got them, but they kind of grow on you. They're also enormously active. They're just moving around all the time, and the fact that you can keep them together without getting beat up makes it just remarkable. So I don't know. I think I probably will try to figure out a way. They're a little pricey. They were not particularly cheap. Um, I don't know what I can do, but I want to try to make some colonies available to people to be able to keep them. It's kind of a unique opportunity. I'm not sure how much longer we're going to be able to do this, but we'll make an effort. I don't know that I'm going to put it up. I might, but until I can be sure I can get quantities, I'm not going to do that. If any of you want to try a colony of bettas, they're going to run $20 a piece. I mean, they're not going to be cheap. It'll be 5 for 100, and then 25 for shipping. So, if you want to give it a go, I'll try to throw an extra one in to each order. You can do it through PayPal, fatherfish@fatherfish.net, and I've got enough here to be able to do 2 orders, and then I'll get more in, and we'll see. But I'll sell what I've got, and then get some more, and see if we can make this happen. It'd be fun if you could. I mean, it makes a fabulous tank. It's a really interesting and remarkable display because you've got a bunch of bettas in there who are moving around, dealing with each other, flaring, not fighting, but flaring, chasing. The females are attracting the males, drawing them away. Every time a pair of males flare, the females gather around, and then they'll select one of the males and draw him off. It's remarkable. It's really fascinating to see these fish in a community kind of environment because they act very, very differently than they do even with a pair together. So anyway, we'll try it out. When the bettas get their horns, it'll be a bloodbath. Well, they've already got their horns. These are full-grown fish. These are fully developed fish. In fact, they're a little older. They're not even particularly young. To give you a better idea, there's some up front now. Well, the blue one off to the left is a male. These 2 are females. And there was a male up here. As soon as I moved the camera over, he darted for the bottom. It freaked him out. So anyway, no, these are let's see. I want to go back. Somebody was talking about Barb's T-Bone. T-Bone has gotten on Discord and he's making hay. He's doing well. Apparently, he got the black ruby barbs as juveniles. Psychedelic, watch the video. It's, I think it's going to be real straightforward. Now, they need to be in a slightly larger tank. I wouldn't do them in a 10. A 20 would be okay, like a 20 long. A 20 long would be a good tank to put like 5 or 6 of them in. These are in a 40 breeder, which is a little shorter than a little longer than a 20 long and a little deeper. So it's bigger than that, but I think they would work out in a 20 long. 29 would be okay. The 40 breeder seems to be a really good sized tank for them, though. So we can try this. This is all highly experimental, of course. If you get into this, understand that this is at your risk. If you wind up with 5 dead fish, it ain't on me. It's up to the betters. But so far, it's looking really good. And again, no nip fins. Nobody's chewed up. So, how old was Buddha? Emily said. He was a young man, actually, when he left his family and became a monk, a hermit. But then he lived a long time after that. Okay, one fishy dude. Hello, hello. John Sua. Hi, John Sua. We're Dunlop. Some lines are not as insane as others. Yeah, absolutely true. And these are a good bit more gentle. What's curious is they came out of fighting stock. These were the most aggressive lineage. But again, they've been kept together, bred together in large numbers, and it has it's changed their behavior. It's changed their relationship with each other. I put a male in with a blue male crown tail that I had. This one. And it was open warfare. Now I've got him in with some females, and they're doing fine. They're not breeding, but they're doing fine. In fact, I think she's dominating him from the looks of it, but not beating him up. David Fellows, I've just had to move a gourami from the large tank. It was on his side and moved him to the 120 with the mollies. He seems to pick up swim on top, but not his side. I don't know. Gouramis are very strange creatures. Don't know why that would be. Somebody is calling me locally. Father Fish. Hello. Hello. Oh, well, goodbye, Mike. Cheapestinsurancedeals.com. I don't know, David. Laying on his side. He could have been being intimidated. Gouramis will lay on their side when they're being totally dominated, as will a lot of fish. So it could be that, but it could be other things as well. He could just be unhappy. He could be sleeping. It could be anything. But if he's up and moving around better, with the move, then good on you. Walrus, embarrassed, but others can learn from my stupidity. I killed 2 rams, rushing acclimation between my tanks. Be slow with side water and be smarter than me. Sorry to hear it. Sorry to hear it, Walrus. Temperature is the key. I've got some nice rams back here, little blues. These are the, I don't know what they're called, neon blues, iridescent blues, some such thing. I need a longer line on this. Here, and I moved some in with the Achilles, and I thought it would pull the Achilles out, but I haven't seen them since. So I don't know what's going on in that tank. These are buffaloes and blue rams. And I got a couple of, someone doesn't look happy up there. A couple of Africans. Oh, he's just being dominant. Um, oh, Mr. Manifesto. Hello, hello, hello. Maple Street Aquatics. Hi there. Good to see you. Maple Street. I got a call today from a customer, an email. I shipped her some FOs, some wild caught fish, little blue line killies, green mollies, golden top minnows, and pygmy sunfish. The pygmy sunfish were fine. The golden top minnows were fine. The mollies and the blue line killies had parasites. Now, I did not see them when I shipped them out. I'm not saying by that I doubt her in any way. I don't. I absolutely believe that she saw it better than me. My eyes are not so good, Frank. Two things about this. Number one, I would not knowingly have shipped them out with parasites. I didn't see them, and I'm going to be a whole lot more careful in the future. The second thing is I collected those particular fish from a lake, a very large pond that we featured last summer with the Booty Boys when the guys came down from Tennessee, and Kenny E came over during his trip. They came down with James, and we had a wonderful time. It was really fun. But they were out collecting. Anyway, that's where I got the blue line killies and those mollies. And they had parasites. So I'm not going to be going back there and collecting again. It was difficult to collect there anyway. And I've got another smaller pond, much smaller, where I can collect blue lines that I think are going to be better. They won't be as big, I believe, but I think it's a healthier environment. So, lesson learned, I guess. And sorry, Walrus, about your rams. That's sad. He says slow with soft water. Well, depends. Depends. But if that's what they've come out of, and that's what you've got, then that's what you want to do. Monster Fish Gal. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Freaky Fish Lady. Hello, hello. Oh, David said the Karami was being chased a lot. So, yeah, he was being dominated. And that was his way of avoiding the continued chase. Marty 80. Hello, hello. Nice to see you. Why not Wyoming? Rad Hobbies. Yeah, he said, Walrus, I hope it doesn't deter you. Saw your post earlier in Discord. If you want to keep rams, you try it again. Yeah, rams are one of those fish that you fail with. Most people fail with them 1, 2, 3 times until they get it all kind of locked in. There are variables in every situation with keeping every fish, temperature, pH, and the like. They're variables that most fish are not particularly sensitive to. Rams are. Rams are sensitive to pH, they're sensitive to temperature, they're sensitive to water quality. So you got to dial those things in and have them right. Once you do that, you don't have any trouble keeping them. But until you do that, you're gonna lose them. They just won't survive. Discus are another fish. Same thing with discus. You just got to get the parameters right, get the water quality right. And once you do that, you're not going to have a problem. But it can take some time and experimentation to get there. Don't give up. Work at it. Make sure you never try to do the same thing twice if it has failed. If it's failed, don't assume that somehow you did something wrong and try to do it again the same way. Assume that one of the parameters that you did was in fact wrong and change it. Make a change, in other words. Don't try to do exactly the same thing all over again. Make a change. See if there's a difference. Try to dial it in. Try to find exactly what you need and do some research. Don't just uh, go off the seat of your pants. Try to understand. Try to learn. Try to grow in your ability to really get a handle on these fish. The top breeder in my life that I know is Andre at Bioaquatics. He researches fish extensively before he gets involved with them. So he knows exactly the conditions he needs to set up in order to be able to keep that fish. I mean, he'll spend months, sometimes 6 months, studying a particular fish, trying to get every bit of information he can and looking for the little details, looking for the minor things that are kind of lost in translation, the stuff that people sort of overlook and don't, oh, well, that wasn't important. Everything is important. Everything is important. Um, so that when he finally gets some fish in and creates an environment for him, he's got them breeding in a relatively short period of time. But he does a lot of research and he's learned how to control all sorts of variables in his water. He's the only person I know who can get pH down to 3. I can't do it. Lowest I've ever been able to get it is 5. 3. He gets it down to 3. No idea. He's explained it to me and I don't get it. It doesn't work. I can't I can't understand what he's doing. He is so deeply engrossed in this process that he literally understands things that most people don't even know exist, don't have a clue about. So deep dives, guys, deep dives. Volunteerism is the answer. Yeah, he's saying, I wonder how much of the aggression is traceable to the conditions they've endured. My born at home fry are so chill. It's absolutely right, volunteerism. These bedders have been grown out in colony. And so all I'm doing is returning them to the state they've grown up in. Sakomoko, I've heard that bettas are aggressive toward colorful fish. Have you noticed any difference uh, coinciding with that? No, I have not. Although it may be true, I haven't really noticed that. Um, Mostly, I've noticed when you put bettas in a community situation, if you put a male or a female betta in a community tank, they'll basically ignore everybody. Now there may be a fish that they think might be a betta. I mean, they do use their eyes, obviously. So they may in fact relate to a given fish. I don't know what it might be. Certainly not a paradise. Maybe some of the long fin tetrads or something. I don't know. Let's see. I'm going back a little. Chevy Fish is saying the thing with barbs is that their juvenile color and markings are different than their adult markings. The ones you showed were elongate, and adults are deep bodied. Hard to guess unless you've owned them. Um, yeah, and if you've owned them, you have a sense of what they're growing toward. T-Bone is happy with the new fish he got, even though he thinks they're not what he wanted. But they might be. They might be. Let's see what else. Oh, who else is here? Sokomoko. I think I've said hello to everybody who's popping up here. Maple Street, good morning. Marty 80, Super Wednesday. Super Wednesday, yes indeed. Glass Box Fox, hello, hello. Yeah, they are nice electric blues. I got them from Homestead, from Old World Fisheries. I got 3 batches of fish in, one of which were Shelley's, and they came in fungus, and I lost them all. Um, but the rams and the buffaloes came in real nice shape, and they're doing really, really well. Volunteerism, watching GVRS slowly fail over weeks in a seasoned tank is not less unpleasant. I think I should have heeded warnings about keeping him in the first place. Only a little bitter. See if there was a comment earlier. Don't see what that was referring to. The barbs, I guess. Vanoksky is here. Hello, Vanoksky. Nice to see you. Roger Salmon. Hi, Roger. Big J. Big J's Fish Keeper. Hello, hello. Roger is watching his aquariums and lurking. I had an interview last night with Tech, Sean. What a nice guy. We really had a good time. We talked for about an hour. He'll chop it up into pieces and be posting parts of that interview over the next few weeks. It was fun. We talked about dirt and tanks. I think the whole time we talked about dirt and tanks. So it was helpful because it was a way I was able to really get in kind of in depth into why dirt and tanks, why sand cap, and so forth. So it was good. I look forward to watching the videos. Derek Thompson, my ladies slightly pick on my colorful guppies, but not my gray ones. They flare at my killifish, but he kind of ignores them and is bigger. So yeah, something that may look like a betta at first glance, like a guppy, or even like a killie. Psychedelic is saying my fingers need more caffeine. Yeah, I get that. Ugh. Where are we? So I would guess that the male would do the same thing, Derek. That if you had a male in there, he might target guppies and might target killies until he figured out they weren't what he was looking for. Keeping an eye over here, see if these guys come back over in the corner. I'll give you a look. Let's see. We got some questions, looks like, coming up here. Guppy Grass is asking Psychedelic how her plants are doing. We're done that. My dog is barking at the robot birds. It's becoming a madhouse. Oh dear. I could cut it down. Is it too loud? Are the birds too loud? I can reduce. There's one in particular. I've got a bird, a water, and a music. I've got three vids going. That way, I figure I can't get a strike. because they won't know what they're listening to. There, we'll cut it down a bit. And we'll kick the water up a bit. And the music is kind of low. There. I kind of like the background. It's like I have somebody sitting here, sort of. It just adds a little more oomph or something. Makes it easier for me, maybe not for you. I try to keep it low enough that it's not going to be disturbing to me or you. If it's too loud, I get into a struggle with it to try to talk louder than the birds. So it's got to be low enough that they're not creating a madhouse, in Word Dunlap's words. Derek Thompson. I personally feel anything under a 20 gallon for multiple bettas is asking for trouble. But I feel if you have the room for a 40 breeder, it's the best community setup. Yeah, I agree, Derek. Now, I've kept harems in 10-gallon tanks while I was at the shop. That's mostly how I kept them. And I would have 5 or 6, maybe as many as 10 females in a 10-gallon tank. And I did not have any trouble with that. I think there was so much going on that it controlled the aggression. But again, that was a shop environment. And that's really very different than a home aquarium environment. So I would agree with you. A 20 long is a really good size for a harem or a colony of bettas. I would not do 2 bettas, however, males. I would not do 2 males. I would do 3, and I would not do them if you're just picking them off the shelf at a PetSmart, because they're going to be powerfully aggressive fish, and they're going to tear each other up. These are bettas that have grown up together. So here's the suggestion: if you want to do this, breed them and grow them up. When you grow them all up in the same tank. I remember a customer, an old man, who loved bettas, and he bred them successfully, and he grew them out. And he got to the point where he was so feeble he couldn't clean the tank anymore. And I went in to deal with this at one point, and he had no more than a 10-gallon tank, and it might have been smaller. It might have been a 5. Well, let's say it was a 10-gallon tank with easily 50 bettas in it that were 3 to 4 months old, fully mature, in the foulest, rankest water I think I've ever seen in my life, and they were fine. They were healthy. They were happy. They were living together. No nip fins, no dead fish. Well, I got them out of the water, did a change for them, got that straightened out. But it demonstrates that if you grow them up together, they're not going to squabble the way they will if you grow them up separately. I have always grown bettas up separately in little tiny cells. I used tackle boxes, the clear tackle box that has all the dividers in it, and you can take out dividers. Well, some of these boxes have 24 sections, and I would have 24 bettas in that with a hole drilled in the top over each cell. So I could flip it over, drain it, flip it back over, refill it from a pitcher, and keep them going. And I was feeding beefheart. I got them though. I raised 250 bettas out of one spawn with 2 females in that spawn. 250 bettas I raised doing it that way. I had, I think, 10 trays going at its peak. It was kind of astounding. But I didn't have a sense about being able to grow them out in community, and you can do it. You absolutely can do it. There are different strains of bettas that'll do better than others. These bettas um, have been raised by a family in the Tampa area for, to my knowledge, 25 years and probably a good bit longer. So there are a number of generations in this, and they're plaquette based. The root fish is a plaquette. They've crossed with a few other things along the way, notably and most recently half moons. So they've got half moon in with a plaquette, and they're lovely. They're unusual though. They're not the sort of fancy thing like the blue crown tail here. Um, they're heavy bodied. They're more dynamic. They're a larger fish. They've got shorter fins. These are multicolored, which are really pretty. They kind of grow on you. They've got more behavior than the regular bettas do. I told the breeder when I got them, I was disappointed because she was saying they were going to be half moons. Well, they're her plaquette half moons. Told her I was disappointed. I now have to eat humble pie and get back to her and say, well, your fish have made me fall in love with them. And they're wonderful, and I'm keeping them together. So I need to talk with her about this and see if we can work out something to be able to do colonies. We'll see. No promises, but I'm going to look into it. It is remarkable, and it's delightful, and it's really great fun. Here's a male coming up to the front. Let's see if he does anything. Here's a female. So she's running, but she's not really running away. She's interested in him, but she's not ready. Nobody's spawning right now. They spawned within 2 or 3 days of putting them in. I had two of them spawning, two nests, but there was no care. Once the babies were gone, they disappeared. In fact, they didn't even care for the nest. Well, so breeding didn't work out. Let's see. David Fellows, how's the interviews going regarding the help with your live stream? Had any candidates? I've had a few, but I tell you frankly, I'm feeling at this moment in time like I'm better off doing it by myself. So long as I can keep it going and not sit here and fall asleep, put myself or you to sleep, it's less distracting for me. I'm able to focus better. Um, I haven't really calmed down to the point where story time has become uh, one of the more dominant characteristics, but I'm hopeful that will happen. That's something everyone seems to enjoy when I get into reminiscing or talking about some unique aspect of the hobby. So we'll try this for a while and see how it goes. I certainly enjoyed having Joey on. I enjoyed having Mary and Cassie V on. They were delightful, but I lost control of it. Um, and I really lost control with Joey because Joey is a very dominant personality and a very joyous personality. And I remember saying to her over the last week or so, this has become your channel. It's become your stream. It's all about you, and it really was. I mean, I looked at it, and I saw myself as a kind of a gray, two-dimensional creature, almost fading into the background, with Joey being this bright, illuminating, dominant, very present, very remarkable kind of personality. So that really wasn't working for me, and I think she saw that. I mean, I really liked her a lot and liked having her here. So I don't think I would have been able to break the bond, but she did, and I think it was a wise thing for her and for me that she did that. She has a greater prescience about such things than I do, and that was another one of the things I really appreciated about her was her insights into people. Remarkable, just really remarkable. So thanks, David, for asking. I'm just going to hang in there by myself for a while. If the numbers start going down and you start saying, get a friend, then I'll do something. I will. Or leave, whatever. I've been doing this now 14 months. I think that's something of a record. Nearly every day. Nearly. Um, so I don't know. Hello, Xanadu. How are you? Nice to see you. Psychedelic. We just jumped 15 down. Pratyusha Barel. Hello, Barel. We're gonna give you turn you blue, Barel. I'm trying to back up to where I was, and it's so far back. All right, I got it. The pennywort, psychedelic. The pennywort died real fast, but I've never had luck getting it to take off. The rest acclimated well. Pennywort is a very light intensive plant. It grows well outdoors in direct sunlight, does not do so well in tanks. So that's fairly common. Deborah Shear. Hi, Deborah. Getting a lot of snails. Any recommendations on snail eating community fish? Um, what kind of snails, Deborah? What kind of snails? Am I going to get into scolding Deborah here? Deborah, snails. An explosion of snails, notably Malaysian trumpet snails, bladder or pond snails, same thing. Sometimes, not mystery snails, but ram's horns, where you have an explosion of snails, you have an explosion of food that is feeding those snails and causing them to multiply. I mean, think about this. Snails don't suddenly explode out of nothing. They've got to have just the right conditions for them to multiply. And the right conditions are nutrition. So not water quality, it's nutrition. And it's typically not plants, it's typically food. So if you really want to control the snail population, stop feeding so much. You are overfeeding your tank. I say this over and over and over again. And the reason I do is because 99% of the people who are overfeeding their fish are absolutely convinced they are not overfeeding their fish. But they are, because they are feeding their fish typically every day, sometimes several times a day. When you go fishing with a hook and line and you keep it and clean the fish, more often than not, that fish's belly is empty. It has not eaten recently. Very often, fish in the wild will not eat for days, even weeks on end. They won't eat anything. Fish, fish burn up very, very few calories in their daily routine, particularly freshwater fish. Saltwater fish are a little different, but freshwater fish are able to survive almost indefinitely on no food at all. Feeding is the single greatest cause of sickness and death in a fish tank. There is no greater cause for sickness, bacteria growth, foul water, a wretched environment, sick and dying fish than food. Food is the worst thing you can give your fish. Stop feeding your fish. If you have, and I mean that literally, if you have little fish, nanos, a community of tetras, other little fish in a community tank that has a deep substrate and is planted, that plant is creating food for those fish. It is a cycle of life going on in that tank where it is generating food, generating food for microscopic life. That's what those little fish eat. They eat microscopic life. They eat paramecium. They eat the little tiny bugs. They eat all those little animals and little algae that are hiding down in there in the sand or on the plants. That's what they're eating. When you see them picking, they're eating. The tank is feeding them. The system is providing food for them, and they're providing waste, which is feeding other elements in the circle of the cycle of life that's going on in your tank. That tank will sustain itself indefinitely. Lee did a tank a year ago, is 50-gallon, finally got a sand cap on it, got plants growing in it, was having trouble with feeding. I challenged him to stop feeding. He did not feed for 6 months. Now, he was feeding some bloodworms to his frogs, but that's it. He did not put fish food in there for 6 months. He went on a poop detail to determine whether the fish were pooping, and they were routinely and regularly. After 6 months, his fish were totally healthy. He had new babies. They were breeding. They were multiplying. It was a completely healthy tank. That tank was sustaining all of the life in it. It works that way. That's what it does. That's what a balanced tank is. Now, it's not going to work with 6-inch fish because they require bigger food. So unless you can figure out a way to do that, it ain't going to work with big fish. But it'll sure work with little fish. It'll work with nanos. It'll work with what most of us keep. Thank you, Deborah, for the question. Less food, less snails. We're done that. Yep. Rohan, I had a bird clock. A bird clock. What's that called? What's that called? What's a bird clock? A bird clock called? The German bird clock. Guppy Grass galore. Learned that the hard way. Yep. Less food, less snails. Psychedelic. Deborah Shearma. Yo-yo loaches decimate them to the point I harvest from other tanks. That's snails. But they attack my betta. Doing well with fancy guppies and mollies. So, yeah, any kind of loach is certainly going to take care of a snail population. But you want to realize, you want to understand why it's happening. In a balanced environment, excess nutrition will increase various populations. Snails are the first one that gets increased. Eventually, it'll reach the point where it'll go down to the bacterial level and you'll start getting excess bacterial growth. And that's what burns up oxygen and winds up filling the tank. So it's critical to not overfeed. Deborah says, Rowan says, dwarf puffers. You betcha. Why not Wyoming likes the birds? Soothing, he says. He says he's also half deaf. 1004. Let's see now. If I click on this, and then I have to go back to 1004 because it jumps from 1004 to 1020. Don't have to have more than one yo-yo. Dark Flame, hello from Russia. Hello, Dark Flame. Dark Flame, we're going to turn you blue. Welcome to the shoal. Burrell, you're not blue here, did I? I thought I did. Okay. Christina Whitaker. Hello, Christina. Patrick. Nice teasing. I therefore enjoy. Yeah, right. When hiking here and the cicadas are silent, you better put your head on a swivel. Climb a tree or leave the woods. Oh, cicadas are incredible, aren't they? Brilliant blue on the fish. Morning. Let's see. Sakamoso, I don't understand all the betta hype. Then I rescued one that blew my mind. How fascinating they are. Sure enough. Christina Whitaker, quiet can induce a little anxiety when you know what it means in a natural environment. Yeah, true enough. That's when you get scared, when everything goes quiet. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Guppy Grass grows pennywort with low light and sunshine from a window. Direct sunlight will do it. It doesn't need a lot even, a few hours. But it's got to get direct sunlight. Roman Chirac, I noticed that dynamic between you and Joey changed the moment she started wielding her hammer. It did, didn't it? That was interesting. Yeah. And I kind of like the hammer. But yeah, it was funny. We can talk about it now. I couldn't talk about it before. I love Joey. I really love Joey. And I hope she comes back with something. She got a new video out that's really quite nice, showing the first couple of months of growth of some of her goldfish. Well worth a watch. She does a remarkable kind of growth study that really is significant, that I don't think anybody else is doing very much. She's got one on angels and now this one on goldfish. Brandon, having any luck with stem plants? Deep sand bed. Get a little more sand in there. Try to get a dirt substrate if you can. The stem plants will do well in a deep substrate. They seem to require anaerobics. They don't do nearly as well in shallow substrate. Relic Turtle. Hello, Relic Turtle. That was Brandon MMS. Let's see. Burrell is saying, I've been in the hobby 17 years now. Done African cichlids, marine, but never got my hands on planet tanks. Only because of you, sir, I'm going to set up a planet tank. Bravo. Bravo. Well, it'll be exciting. You'll enjoy it. And if you have any questions at all, I'm available on Discord and email. And of course, I try to keep up with all of the comments on videos as well as these chats. Chris Trapp says life is easier when you feed your fish less. It really is, isn't it? It's kind of amazing. I get the feeling guilty sometimes that I haven't fed them in days on end, and so I'll put a little food in. And that I feed about twice a week, I think, these fish here, and I'm feeding prime. Um, I was selling prime. I can still sell it. It's $10 a bag. You get, I think, 8 ounces. It's 52% protein, very high quality. Contains oregano, and it also has a biological in it for parasites and bacteria. Real high quality food, designed for the Israeli fish farmer community, and not commonly available here in the States. Guppy Grass galore have experience with plants and gardens, and that's what it takes. If you've got garden experience, you're going to do well with an aquarium because you understand what the plants really need. And just do it, just provide it. Brandon is saying he has a guppy tank, dirt bait with 3 and sand cat. Well, there you go. Bravo. Derek Thompson, following Father Fish and setting up a natural system has helped me deal with my depression. It has become an educational tool for me to help and teach my kids and friends. Bravo. Absolutely, Derek. It's remarkable, isn't it? I mean, when you get tuned into the natural environment and start trying to find ways to replicate that, it completely changes your whole approach to fish keeping and to the world in general and to your attitudes towards society, other people. I mean, it 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 it'll make you believe in God. I'm here to tell you, because it changes your whole sense of what nature is really all about, and how you can depend on the laws of nature, the processes of nature, to be able to occur in your tank without you doing anything other than providing an opportunity, providing an environment where it can go on. Wonderful, isn't it? How far do you put the plant stem in? Also, do floating plants do well? Two really good questions, like Guppy Grass to Brandon. In a new tank, if you plant those stems too deep, they're going to burn up. The new soil is so rich; it is not chelated. It's not kind of broken down and made calm and gentle. All of the chemical reactions between the various elements are creating a kind of volcano. So you don't want to have a whole lot of dirt, an inch maximum, not more than that. If you put 2, 3, 4 inches of dirt in, it's going to explode. It will go whoom, and it'll foul the water. You won't be able to get enough sand on it to keep it down. So 1 inch of dirt is perfectly adequate, and then 2 inches of sand. Guppy Grass have not fed my Amano in 8 months, and they keep growing. I've only lost 2. Pretty good. Snooky. Hello, Snooky. CM. You have to keep saying, I'm sorry, Father Fish. Thank you for reminding us. It's so hard. I'm forcing myself not feed Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. It's hard. Your repetitive repertoire is why I enjoy it. Well, thank you so much, CM. Yeah, I do not tire of repeating myself. Boy, this beard is being weird. It's like cocked to one side. Where's my brush? There it is. Let's quit fooling with it. It'll be fine, Father Fish. There. Now I'm good. I'm not. Gotta quit looking at myself. That's what it is. Thank you, CM. I appreciate it. Now I don't tire of doing that. I don't tire of repeating myself. I did it first. I thought, well, once I get through this, saying this a few hundred times, then what am I going to do? Well, keep saying it because there are always new people, and there are always forgetful people, and there are always people who it really has not sunk in yet. So yeah, I try to say it a different way each time, but I've even kind of given up on that. I just say, listen, guys. That can of food you got over there? Hide it. Hide it in a place where you won't be able to find it, much less your 3-year-old. Hide it. And when the fish get hungry enough, they'll remind you where it is. And that's when you want to go get it and bring it out and give it to them. In the meantime, hide it. The other rule is, if you're going away for a day or a week or a month, please do not ask your neighbor to stop in and look at your fish. Or if you do, no, don't. Just don't. Just don't do it. Because if they can't find the food, they're going to go out and buy some to keep their fish from starving because you forgot to leave food for them. And you're going to come back to a dead, foul, stinky, smelly tank. And they're going to say, I don't know what happened. I fed them 4 times a day. I kept feeding them. And they kept getting sicker and sicker. It was terrible. And I put more food in and they get sicker. I didn't know what to do. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Just don't ask your neighbor to come in and look at your fish. Please don't do it. Please. I beg you. Please don't do it. It will not end well. It never ends well. Never. Trust me on this. Please. It never ends well. Now, if you have a fishy friend who keeps fish and knows what they're doing, great. Perfect, wonderful, terrific. By all means, give them a key to the house. Stock the fridge. Keep sodas on hand. Welcome them in because they will be a benefit to your tanks while you are gone. They might even do a water change or something. David Fellows. There he is. Thank you, David. For $4.99 pound. Here's to mental health and fish keeping. And stop feeding the damn fish. Right you are. Go, David. And thank you for the super chat. Glory. Yeah, a friend who keeps fish, knows what they're doing, is a great benefit while you're away. A neighbor who hadn't got a clue will destroy your hobby. Don't do it. Thank you, see him. Let's see, Mermaid's Course. I found some really tiny bugs eating some of my dying leaves on floating plants last night. Thought it was pretty interesting. You betcha. And those tiny bugs are food for little fish. They might be, it's hard to say what they are. They're probably rotifers. Could be Daphne, not likely. Probably rotifer. They could be scuds. A number of things they could be, because there's so many things, so many little microscopic animals that eat dying leaves and produce waste that precipitates into the sand, goes down into the substrate. It's broken down into various components, which the plants then take up as organic compounds and are fed, and then again feed the fish and feed everybody else. It's the cycle, it's the balance, it's the way the system works. It's perfectly natural, perfectly normal. All you really need to do is create the opportunity for it to happen. And it goes on without any effort at all on your part. You need a little light, but it doesn't have to be a big light. Doesn't have to be an expensive light. I recommend 6K, 6000K. It's got the widest spectrum, 2 watts per gallon. You can get that at any big box store for cheap. Andy brought me one of these. It's a little 20-watt Aquaneat, $20. The A900, made in China. Didn't know that. Probably wouldn't have bought it. Take it out of the box. These are nice. They're not real bright. You don't get 2 watts per gallon with them. That hurt. If I cut my finger, feels like I did. I did. I cut my finger pulling the tape loose. There you go. Not a lot of wattage. It's 20 inches, I guess. I think this one's 24. Aquaneat. Looks cool. I've got a couple of them here. There's one. Plant sitting over there. It's got pretty good light. I gotta figure out where I'm putting that. Well, at least it's not bleeding. What I dropped? The power supply. All right. We're deadlocked. The fish are more interesting when the fish are hungry. Tanks are more interesting. Brandon is suggesting he floats new plants for a few days, then put it 1 to 1.5 inches in the sand, enough to cover the roots and have it stay put. Yeah, mermaid. The bug thing is interesting. If you've got natural bugs in your tank, then you've got a balanced environment. That means you're feeding the protozoan. The protozoan really are the key. A protozoan culture will survive with plants and sand. It'll survive with gravel as well, but the whole system will do better with sand. Protozoan are what feeds the little tiny fish. It allows you to grow baby fish in your tank because they'll be able to find adequate food. And what protozoan means is that you've got now a system in your tank to break down waste, because that's what they feed on. They feed on the waste, the fish poop, the dead plants. All of that material is their nutrition. They feed on that and break it down into microscopically tiny components that sift down in there, get down very quickly into the substrate, where it's broken down by the chemical and mechanical, the chemical primarily, and the biological activity that's going on in the anaerobic level, the anaerobic layer, that breaks it down and makes it accessible then to plants. Plants don't grow on stone. They don't grow on rocks. They need minerals, but those minerals have to be in an organic compound, in an organic matrix, in order for them to be able to be taken up. That occurs in an anaerobic environment. It does not occur in the presence of oxygen. Okay? Stones don't break down, minerals don't break down on the surface. They break down in the depths where they're in an organic environment that is anaerobic, where they're deprived of oxygen, where they essentially get, where they get chelated. They burn up. They become part of a larger matrix. They don't burn up. They become part of a larger matrix that can then be taken up by the plant. Needed to study biology better. Where else? Let's see. Deborah Shearer. I only feed 2 times a week. Started to feed algae vapors because my algae fish ate it all. Never had such a clean tank. With the algae eating fish, be okay if I stop, there's no food. Yeah, right. The algae eating fish are going to keep the tank clean. That's their job. That's what they're going to do. They're going to look for that. And by doing that, they will be promoting more algae growth. But it'll be of a form that they're able to consume. So it's not going to run out, in other words. They will be creating a biomass, a form of waste that will be specific to the development of what they're eating. Think about that for a minute, because that's a significant part of how the system really works. The various components, the various life forms are creating an environment that is conducive to themselves. Conducive to themselves. Conducive to themselves. And it goes around. And it's self-perpetuating. It feeds itself. They're all supporting each other by supporting themselves. What does that remind you of? Supporting each other by supporting themselves. As they support themselves and create environments that are beneficial to themselves, that beneficial environment is beneficial to others that are beneficial, and the whole system benefits itself. It forms a chain. So, increasing the biodiversity in that environment increases the cycle, increases the variety of biological entities, of life forms that are all in this process of supporting themselves and supporting each other. It becomes a stronger, healthier, more stable environment. So when you go out to a local pond, you pick up a handful of mud and you bring it back or leaf litter, and you sprinkle some of it in your tank. What are you doing? You are increasing the biodiversity because you are bringing life in there that is not there, types of life, species of animals that are not there. And what do? They begin to link up. They begin to tie in. They may be a bit of a struggle at first, but it gets resolved. And they become part of a wider and larger and stronger chain that becomes more stable and more capable of withstanding more diversity. And it grows and it builds and it becomes stronger. What's the end of it? There is none. There is no end of it. It goes on and it goes on. Ram Kapoor. There we are. Ram Kumar, thank you for the super sticker. This is 100 rupee, I think, from Kumar. Thank you. Thank you, Kumar, very, very much. It's very kind of you. Do deeply appreciate it. It pays for the fish food. No, pays for new fish. Puts gas in the tank. This is my income these days, guys. Need all help I can get. I do sell stuff. You can buy the supplement. I do have the supplement. And at some point, I will be selling of the biodiversity. Uh, Garth was doing that. I've talked about Garth a few times. They were selling biodiversity. And I can do that once I'm satisfied I've got this built to a level where it's substantial. You'll be able to buy a little bag of live culture and sprinkle that in your tank. The anti-wolf. Hello, the anti-NWO wolf. Nice to see you. Good to have you with us. Let's see. What else? Cuckoo. Thank you, Psychedelic. The bird clock. Right, a cuckoo. Weird word. It is a weird word, isn't it? Cerulean. A weird word. Let's see. Can you use peat moss, potting soil manure in the dirt mixture? Absolutely. And I love peat moss. It's P-E-A-T. Peat, P-E-T-E. Peat moss, yes. And potting soil manure, potting soil and manure, all. Also mulch. If you can get leaf mulch, somebody had a bag of leaf mulch they found the other day. Ideal. Just ideal. Mermaid said I would definitely call that tank with the bugs my most balanced tank, hoping to get the rest like that. Not hard to do. You can do it. Talking about worms back here. Well, who started that? Relic Turtle said some people don't like the worms, but they're really good for the tank, especially if you don't want snails. They eat all the same things. The detritus worms, little white squiggly things. Um, yeah, you're right. Same thing, and come out of the same place. So they will stay down in the sand. They become prolific like snails when you're overfeeding. So it's a good sign if you start seeing just thousands of little tiny worms all around the edge of the substrate or at the top, or lots thousands of little snails. You know with absolute certainty you're overfeeding your fish. So cut back and they'll go right back down in there. They will disappear. It'll take care of itself. Let's see. Thank you again, Ram Kumar. Does black hair algae make a tank smell like dirt? Make a tank smell like dirt. No more than any other algae. It's an algae. If the tank smells like dirt, that probably means it's a healthy tank. I don't know why it would smell like dirt otherwise. Interesting. Maybe, but again, no more than any other algae. Christina Whitaker been turning my bedroom into my fish room. So relaxing and caught a 3-inch crawdad stalking my guppies. No idea where it came from. Must have snuck in tiny with my plants. Yeah, and it has eaten a few plants to get to where it is. Crawdads are fabulous plant eaters. It will reach the point where you will not be able to keep plants in that tank. Word to the wise. When using peat moss, Chevy Fish says, your water will turn tea-colored with tannins. It's good for saltwater fish and lowers the pH over time. Absolutely. Rowan said, Naughty One had a question. Your thoughts on rainbow fish? Got to be a bit more specific than that. I like them. They're pretty. They're nice fish. They're friendly and happy. They make your tank shine and sparkle. But you got to have really good light for them to make them bright and happy. Nice fish rainbows. Not particularly aggressive. Pretty friendly. A decent community fish. A tank full of rainbows is a sight to behold. Oh, what else? Maybe you could explain why I can't keep bettas alive, but I have no trouble with all of my or any of my other fish. I don't know, T-Bone. Um, but I'll bet you it has to do with overfeeding. I'll bet you. The other thing about bettas is they cannot digest vegetable matter. This notion that you can put a peace plant in a jar and the fish will eat the roots, that is balderdash. Balderdash. It is an old fishwives' tale. It is foolishness and nonsense. It is ridiculous. Bettas are insectivores. That means they have enzymes that digest bugs. Bugs like mosquito larvae, Daphne, other little critters swimming around in the water. That's what they eat. That's what they are able to derive nutrition from. If you're putting algae wafers in there, they're going to die by starvation because there won't be anything for them to eat. Oh, they'll eat it all right. They'll look like they're hungry because they are. They'll eat it. They'll also poop it out 100% of what they took in, and it'll foul the water. Pellets for bettas. Read the contents. If it contains cornmeal, wheat meal, germ, wheat germ, any other kind of vegetable matter, it is no good for bettas. No good. Check the betta bites. Bug bites are good. Bug bites are bugs. You can feed bug bites. Other than that, try to get blackworm, Daphne, brine shrimp, any kind of frozen bloodworm or Daphne or brine shrimp, anything like that is fine. Rohan saw big garden snails want to feed them to fish. I wouldn't. Garden snails are toxic, many of them. You could be creating real problems. Relic turtle. If you didn't give your bettas anything but skin boiled peas, you'd be lucky if they accept it. Well, yeah, because they can't derive any nutrition from it. It might help clean out their gut, but it ain't gonna make them strong and healthy. Have you ever kept a freshwater flounder? Freshwater flounder. I have. I don't know if I can see any. I've got a bunch of them. There's one right there. Right there. Freshwater flounder up against the glass. Yeah, I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing. See that blue line killing? See the white spot on its cheek? That is a parasite. I've got to get that sucker out of there and get that parasite off of it. See that? Right there. Need to catch him. Yeah, freshwater flounder are cool. They're called hog chokers. It's a flounder that goes from. They breed in freshwater in creeks that feed into a saltwater body. Um, and then the adults move down into saltwater. They only get about that big, full grown. They call them hog chokers here locally. We are at 10:59 down to the bottom. Are we at the bottom? Not close. Let's see if there's anything good. Liquid rock for water. Black soldier fly larvae are fabulous for bettas. You bet. Let's see. Feed my betta high protein gel food. If it is not animal material, they're not going to derive nutrition from it. There's got to be some animal material in there. And generally speaking, if it's high protein, it's got shrimp tip in it or something, or fish meal, something like that, which works. That's fine. All right, we're going to hit the bottom here. Jason, my grandfather just killed $300 in fish from overfeeding. He thought his peppermint shrimp needed shrimp pellets every day. He was putting in like 9 pellets a day. Tank stinks. Right. Bluebell bug bites, tetratropical colored flakes, red wigglers. There's food for everyone. Then I had bloodworms. That works. After setting up a way to culture them. Terrific. Liquid rock. He was being facetious, T-Bone. He meant that his water is very, very, very hard. Hard water. Hard water. So hard it's like eating rocks when you drink it. That kind of liquid rock. Okie dokie. Extreme fair water, right. 11:01. We need to play a song. Let's see what we can find here. Play a song. We could kick up the jazz. Why don't we just kick up the jazz? It's Jazzy Mix, and it's not copyrighted. And we kick up the birds. And we can kick up the river. All right. Can you still hear me? Love you all. Wonderful morning. Keep it beautiful. Keep it fresh. Keep it alive. Darn it. Bye all. Nice to be with you. See you. What day is today? Wednesday. See you in the morning. Let me do a few buys here. Well, hey, Detroit, nice to see you. Bye for now. See you all in the morning.